Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first day of the AI-infused classroom learning series, where we're going to be talking all about AI so you can go back into your classroom with ideas that you might want to use. And the person I wanted to go to first is Donnie Piercey, because not only is he the 2021 Kentucky Teacher of the Year, but he just published a book called 50 Strategies for Integrating AI in the Classroom. Oh, and he just got it, as a matter of fact.
Well, actually, literally today, Holly, no kidding, about an hour and a half ago, got the first ever edition of it sent to me by TCM, Teacher Created Materials. So excited to share this.
And Donnie is going to be sharing some of those strategies just to wet your whistle on things that you can get if you buy the book. So Donnie, take it away and tell us what's going on.
Yeah. So hello, everybody. My name's Donnie. I teach fifth grade in Kentucky. And what Holly asked me to come on and share about are just some ways that you can start to use AI if you're a classroom teacher. Because while this AI stuff, it's awesome, it's cool, like in the ed tech space, it's really fun to play around with, almost kind of sometimes see how we can kind of break this stuff. But at the end of the day, we are still educators. And so we're trying to come up with unique ways that what are some ways that our lessons, our activities, the things that we do in our classrooms, how can they, how can AI impact those things in a good, solid pedagogical way? There's lots of AI apps that exist. Probably most of you know ChatGPT. Some of you might have played around with Google Bard, which is like their AI chat generator. But there's also different image generating ones, things like Midjourney and Dolly. And all of those things you can sign up for in less than a minute. And this is not a thing on how to sign up for those, but there's this wonderful site called YouTube and Google that walks you through how to use all of those different things. When you're thinking about AI, and Holly, I know you'll agree with me on this, I think there's three things that are still important to think about. That good pedagogy is still important. Developing positive relationships with students still matters. And just because, I don't know, I'm an elementary school teacher, I really believe in the power of sharing stories, especially stories not written by robots. So I always like to bring up that as much as I love ed tech, and I'm fascinated by this stuff today, I still think it's important that we're sharing real stories, read alouds and things with our students every single day. A lot of teachers, they have the same, and Holly, I know you and I had a very similar experience when we stumbled across ChatGPT for the first time last November when it first rolled out. You do oh man, I wonder if this can answer my test questions. You do it, just like, I don't know, this is okay. I might give this kid a B or a C if they turned it in, if we even do standard grades anymore. And then you start to realize like, wait, what else can this thing do? And it's at that point when I started to realize that, oh my gosh, this AI stuff is going to completely change the way that I use or that I teach in definitely a positive way. And I look at it, AI, in the same way that I looked at when I discovered YouTube for the first time as a teacher, when I discovered Google for the first time as a teacher. Of course, understandably, you have questions, right? Is this going to impact the way that I teach? And how do I adapt my instructional strategies to bring these tools in to really further my students' education, right? And I like to draw that comparison. However, I do think, and we're about to get to my ideas here from my book, I think that there's four big questions to think about before you consider bringing AI into your classroom. What are your learning targets? What are your goals? What are your objectives? Like, what's the thing in a class period that you're trying to teach? Hey, guess what? Sometimes AI is a great tool that helps you accomplish that. But guess what? It doesn't have to be all the time, right? I mean, just because AI is cool does not mean that it always has to be brought into every single lesson. Do my students have prior knowledge? Can AI kind of help me fill some gaps there? What are some ways that AI, imagine this, especially as an elementary school teacher, how can AI help me monitor student progress, determine student growth to make sure that are they actually meeting a lot of the objectives that I'm throwing out there? And then lastly, can AI help me formatively assess student learning? I think informal assessments are not necessarily easy, but it's something that a lot of times we as teachers, we do. But what are some of those big projects, those big things that you have your students work on, and how can AI help me not only design those lessons and activities, but how can AI help those things really come to fruition? So how does this work in the classroom, right? Big question. What are some classroom activities, stuff that you can do? And Holly, I have a game that I like to play. I call it Guess the Prompt. Now, this is just a simple example. This is not a thing on how to create these images. And Holly, I intentionally did not show you the answers to these ahead of time. But I know, the way that AI works, a lot of times there's a prompt and then something happens. A lot of times it's text, like if you use Chat GPT, but there's also image generating AI where you can type in commands, and an app like Adobe Firefly, Midjourney, or Dolly will create an image. So Holly, I typed a prompt into, I think for this one, I used Dolly, that's OpenAI's image generator. And this image popped out. So Holly, just as a fun little, you don't have to sit there and wait, try to figure it out for 30 minutes. But what do you think I typed in to make this image appear? I can tell you this is school appropriate, by the way. It is school appropriate.
So anyone who's watching this, try and think on your own also what you think this might be. And I just happen to know a little something about Donnie. He likes like movie references, things like that. And I
Okay.
feel like there's got to be some of that in here. I don't know this guy, but he must be like a mix between like the Matrix and the Terminator or something. And in the back, we've got, I don't know if that's like a famous painting. I couldn't guess because I'm not as into those things as Donnie. But I'm guessing it has to be something like that. Am I even close?
I mean, maybe. So I did a supervillain who lives in
Oh,
Kentucky. That
oh,
popped up. All
a
right, Holly, next one. We
huh.
got next one here. I got 3 of these. And by the way, this is a great, like if you're trying to introduce your students to AI, like some of the things that you can do with it, this is a great indoor recess activity, or just sometimes we just need like 5 or 10 minutes to kill. So what did I type in, Holly, to make this
So
pop up? Looks like we got some people in hats there.
either guinea pigs in a famous artist painting that I don't know, or like guinea pigs at church doing like I don't know.
2 large hamsters
Okay.
watching the Kentucky Derby from Kentucky.
Oh, that's a good
Had to
one.
throw that in there. Yeah. And then the last one, Holly, this one is my favorite. Now, keep in mind, I do love a good pun. I'll give you a hint for this one. I do love a good pun.
So that is, that's like I don't know. I don't know. You're not.
Sorry. This is a Jurassic Park where the dinosaurs park cars instead of being in an actual park. So,
Oh,
there you go.
park where the dinosaur. Oh, that's a goodie.
Yeah. Anyway, but I wanted to start off with this, right? Because a lot of times when we think of AI, we only think of Chat GPT. We only think of like Google Bard, some of the other text generating things to pop out there. But this image generating stuff is very, very powerful. How many times as a teacher are you putting a slideshow together, maybe in Canva, maybe in Google Slides, and you're like, oh man, I just wish I had
Yeah.
a painting of a bunch of students sitting around a campfire. It would make this slideshow perfect. Or maybe you know how to like take your own face and put it like you're being sworn in as class president. Hey, cool. Guess what? Through Google, not through Google Images, but through like, through OpenAI, through image generating stuff, like those are things that you can start to create happen. So, or maybe you just need, that you're a writing teacher and you just
Yeah.
want to give them that writing prompt, create an image. Hey, tell this story. Maybe you poll your class. What do you want the image to be today? Maybe they give you suggestions and then you pick one and then you create the image. There's so many ways that you can make this come to
And
life.
Donnie, also a student who's writing a story. I'm a language arts teacher in middle school,
Yeah.
5th grade, and a student who's writing a story may take some of those elements that are important to the plot and ask an image generator to make an image so that it's unique and it's original in its best way. So I would love that for kids.
Yeah, and for sure. And it's no secret too that I mean, learning how to cite your work, all those things, like you can cite an image that you created with Midjourney. If even with like Chat GPT, like you can cite what that looks like in APA, MLA, because again, it's going to start become more and more prevalent is what we do. So let's get on to like the actual classroom activities. Now I've got a book, 50 strategies for, oh, it's upside down, 50 strategies for integrating AI into the classroom. And the way that the book is written, it's written for teachers by a teacher. And it's full of 50 prompts or 50 ideas, different lessons that whether you're a kindergarten teacher or whether you're a high school teacher, even higher ed, what are some activities that you can do with your students? Some of them are content specific, like science in the case of this one. Others of them are just like, hey, here's the thing that you probably didn't know you could do with AI to save you time. Because imagine, Holly, you actually end up saving time as a teacher. Imagine that. So this, Holly, I mean, how many times is, I know you're language arts, but I also know you have a lot of experience just in the education field in general. You know, it's no secret that a lot of times as teachers, our resources and things are cut short. Maybe like we've got this great idea, you know, we know that we're supposed to be teaching Newton's second law of motion, but we just don't have the materials that we needed. Maybe, you know, you just have like one popsicle stick and and that's it. And from that, you're supposed to teach something, right? But well, imagine you did this as an activity. You talk to your class and you know that this is the week you're going to be teaching, and I'll use Newton's second law of motion as an example. You know that that's the content that you're meant to be teaching this week. So you tell your class, hey, tomorrow, I want you to just bring to school one thing that you can fit inside of your book bag. Make sure you like can't be alive. You know, maybe it's a Matchbox car, maybe it's, you know, a pair of dice or something that they can roll. But then you also go around your room, you just kind of take stock of what you have. And then you throw a prompt together like this one. Hey, in my classroom, you just start to list off the things that you have. Some of it might be things that the students bring in. Some of it might be stuff that you have, Bunsen burners or whatever, right? So then what you can do, and I've got this kind of prompt copied over here. You go ahead and you take that prompt, then you can go into Chat GPT, which I've got kind of pulled up here, and you just copy that prompt in. And Holly, just for fun, do you want to go ahead and just like name one or two other things that maybe we could add to this list?
I would say also a computer and
Oop, okay.
some salt.
Computer, salt, and I don't know, come up with something really goofy.
Well, of course, you're going to have like the Play-Doh.
And Play-Doh, and I'll go, and a bag of flaming hot Cheetos. I don't know. Right. So I've got that in there. There's a prompt. I didn't spell everything right or didn't recognize it. It's okay. AI smart. So now I'm going to enter that in, and then it's going to go and it's going to design that lesson for me. Right. Now, of course, remember, just keep in mind, yeah, it's cool to see, but it's important to realize that there might be some things in here that just aren't feasible to do in a class period. And maybe you tell your students like, hey, we're going to do this tomorrow. So that way you have time to kind of go through the lesson. Maybe there's some things in there that you're like, you know what, that really doesn't fit. And just like with anything with AI, right? Maybe, let's see, I'm trying to figure what it has to do here. It looks like it's, we're creating we're releasing cars down a ramp, drawing relationships. One time I did this with the snack, and it said at the end, it was like, and then after you're done, have your students eat the little snack, right? So lots of different ways that you can use it. But again, keep in mind, you can just copy paste that over onto a Google Doc. Just like with anything that you find, you can make some changes to it. It's not locked in stone. And also remember, hey, if you don't like what it did, you can either click, create a different lesson using the same materials, or you can just click that button that says regenerate response and just let it create a whole nother second lesson based off of that, right? Super easy, fun, and also allow some student voice into, give your students a chance to input what things are going to be a part of the lesson. Does that make sense?
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. But it doesn't have to be science, right? Maybe you're a math teacher. Maybe you want to get creative, and this is like some goofy reading project that you're going to put together. So many different ways. And again, whatever your students bring in or whatever you have, you can design a lesson around that. All right.
Ooh.
So not going to lie, this is probably my all-time favorite thing, one of my favorite things to do. It's part of the reason why it's in this slideshow. One of this, now, again, I'm an elementary school teacher. And I didn't really learn or get comfortable with talking in front of others. I would say probably until maybe my senior year of high school, and realistically probably not until I was in college. And as a kid, I was always very shy. I mean, I was very timid. I did not like, I didn't have many opportunities to stand up and present in front of my class outside of, the typical stuff. All right, we're doing the preamble to the Constitution. We're doing the Gettysburg Address, right? And again, whatever, staples of school, sometimes you just got to do it. And when I was asked to give a speech, maybe like a soliloquy from Shakespeare, maybe something from Macbeth or Hamlet, is this the dagger which I see before me? It was really not much outside of that. So what if we give the students a chance to practice their speaking and listening skills, doing something like this? Take a famous speech. Can be anything. I've got an example saved. Maybe it's something that they watched online. Maybe it's a famous speech from a movie, something from a book. But then ask AI to imagine that it was given by, insert the name of a person here, right? Maybe it's their favorite celebrity. Maybe it's Taylor Swift, right? So many different ways you can do it. And it's actually great. So I'm just going to copy this prompt here. I'm going to jump in here. I'll just make a new chat. And I think now remember, ChatGPT and AI is smart. I've actually got one of my favorite speeches queued up. So we're going to say, rewrite the speech from the movie Independence Day. But imagine it was given by, I got to go Dolly Parton. Got to go Dolly Parton here, right? So now it says just to copy the text from here. And again, you can ask your students, right? You can say to them, hey, who is it that you want to have, what version of this speech do you want, who do you want? Maybe it's Yoda, maybe it's Darth Vader. So there's the speech right there. It's going to copy that, jump here into AI, and I'm just going to copy it in. We'll keep it as ChatGPT for 3 for now. Going to press enter. And then, good morning, y'all. Less than an hour. Aircraft from right here will join others around the world. We'll be kicking off the biggest aerial battle in the history of mankind. Oh, this is great. Now, again, it's fun. It's different. Again, you could do Taylor Swift, Yoda. You could pick like another famous celebrity just to see what pops up. But maybe you're trying to teach students about different dialects. Maybe they're drama students. They're they're working on a piece that takes place in the 1920s.
Oh yeah.
Maybe you're trying to teach them a different part around the world, right? How different accents might come out or something like that. So many different ways that you could roll with this activity. But again, it's fun, it's engaging. And, maybe you could do like in class, like have a big wheel. All right, let's see who the speech is going to be given by today. Spin the wheel, and it's like, ooh, it's Luke Skywalker. Good luck.
I'd like to see a reverse of Taylor Swift, her lyrics from a song done in Shakespearean language.
All right, let's see what we got. We can do that real quick. We'll go Shake. I'm sorry, my daughter loves Taylor Swift, but we'll grab the lyrics to Shake It Off.
Oh, you should.
We'll go grab.
Okay, that's good.
I'm just gonna grab that there. And then
while
we'll
you
say,
that will give them an understanding of how the language is different, because they all know Shake It Off, or they all know Enchanted. And
yeah,
that would be a really good intro activity to help them understand the difference in the dialect and the difference in how people spoke.
I misspelled that. All right, we'll say rewrite these lyrics by Taylor Swift, but turn it into a Shakespearean play. Who knows what will pop up? We'll see.
If you just said Shake It Off, it would know already.
Yeah, probably would. The bigger hark thy countenance is fair and yet beguiling. This is great.
Really different.
Oh man. Oh, actually, look, it actually ended up filling in the rest of the song. That's super fun, right?
Or
But
we've done.
again, it's engaging, it's something different. And your model, in my mind, you're just modeling for the students that there are other things that they can do with AI outside of just having it answer test
Yeah.
questions, right? Because
Hmm.
there's so many different ways that it can be used. Again, just some other quick ideas here, real quick. Ideas here, real quick. Go me. Great with words. Interact with historical figures. Maybe you're a social studies teacher and you're learning about someone like Teddy Roosevelt. Maybe you're trying to teach them about Malcolm X. Maybe you're trying to teach them about some famous person from history who, hey, you just can't bring them into your classroom anymore. A simple prompt like this one: pretend you're blank, be anybody you want, Abraham Lincoln, Helen of Troy, whatever.
Huh?
Wait for the students to ask you questions and then answer in a way. And this is where it gets key, that my blank grade students would understand, as they're the ones that are asking the questions.
Huh.
Because keep in mind, sometimes you're not sure because it's what's going to pop out. And, you want to make sure that the responses that they get are written in a way that they can understand. And that's not to say that they shouldn't be exposed to higher level text and higher order thinking. But sometimes, hey, if this stuff's on the fly, you just want to make sure that what spits out is okay. I've even seen teachers, I want to start seeing teachers, who use a prompt like this one. Like, I love the idea of like a computer at the back of the room. Maybe you're a social studies teacher, you're studying about Alexander the Great. And I love the idea of like a computer at the back of the room with, you got Chat GPT or Google Bard opened up. And then the teacher is like printed out like almost like a cardboard cutout of their head, and they've like stuck it on top of the computer.
Huh.
And so throughout the lesson, if the students have a question for Alexander the Great, they can just walk right up, type it in. Or in a few years, as
Cool.
voice, when you start to see more voice stuff built into AI,
I'm
it's
here.
like they're having that conversation with them.
Um, I love that idea. And also, you were saying like, uh, check it first, check the answer first. So when we were doing it with second graders and it was writing a story, we didn't put the story up until we looked first, just to make sure it was
Yeah.
appropriate for second graders.
Yeah. Yeah. Because again, it's, sometimes I look at it this way. Sometimes you might be doing a read aloud and that word comes across and you're like a first grade teacher. It's like, well, all right, everybody just saw that. Or maybe there's a
Yeah.
movie that you're previewing and you thought that you got away with, you thought this one's fine, but something slips in. It's important to have those conversations with students. And the way that I always approach it with my fifth graders is I always tell them like, hey, as you get older, you're going to start to see more and more words like that. That does not mean that kind of stuff is appropriate for school or appropriate discussions to be taking place every day. But as you get older, you have to understand, you just need to be more mature when it comes to that kind of stuff. But especially with the AI, if you're having to generate stories, generate prompts, and it's something that you're sharing with them, I wouldn't, just print something out and hand them something on the fly, whether it was AI or something that I just grabbed online. So always make sure, whether it's a YouTube video or whatever it is, that you're previewing it ahead of time.
Well, and ChatGPT won't use any curse words. So that's
Yes.
good to know.
Yeah. Every now, although I have learned, here's a fun little trick. You can say, instead of using a bad word, insert bleeps, and it's really funny. It actually puts the word bleep in like all capital letters. But anyway, some more just different activities, things that you can do. Again, my book, it's full of like some upside down again. It's full of different types of classroom activities, lessons that you can do. A lot of these ones that I have selected for this call are more ones where it's like speaking and listening. Students are up, they're moving around the room. This is honestly another one of my favorite things to do with my students. I call it playwriting, PLAI. It's a terrible pun. Sorry, I'm a dad. You just have to roll with it. But we'll actually do this one live, Holly. Okay, we'll do a
Okay.
live one here. So the idea is, in the same way that like before you put on if you're like an actor or something like that, before they perform, they always do a table read, right? Think like Saturday Night Live. Think, like any type of TV show or a movie, they always sit around a table and just practice rehearsing their lines, work on cadence and things like that. So here's a prompt, right? Write the script for the first scene of a 3-scene play, and there'll be 3 students named blank, blank, blank. And the play will be taking place in a blank grade classroom with a teacher named blank. It'll have a theme of blank. All right, so let's kind of go through here, Holly. So let me kind of jump back over here. Here's the prompt. So write the script for a first scene of a 3-scene play. There'll be 3 students. What do you want their names to be, Holly?
Taylor.
Of course. Yep. Taylor. I should have mentioned.
Donnie and Holly.
Sure. Taylor, Donnie, and Holly. The play will be taking place in a what grade classroom you want?
5th.
All right, we'll go 5th grade classroom with a teacher named. What do you want to do?
Mr. Smith.
Okay, Mr. Smith. It'll have a theme of, what do you want the theme to be? Perseverance. Okay. Shoot, I spelled it right. I was worried. And then the key line here is to make sure that throughout the play, the main characters make reference to the theme. All right, so now I'm going to jump in here to the AI, start a new chat. Now, there's a few ways you can do this. You can either and this is the way I do it when I do it with my class. I say, all right, the second it appears, we're going to start performing it, right? And they think it's fun because I'm literally scrolling through it, and sometimes it's just super goofy, right?
Yeah.
The other way that you can do it is you can, after it writes the play, you can just copy it, paste it onto a Google Doc, share that with your students and say, all right, this is what it is. Now you make some edits, tweak it how you want, maybe put your name in it, and then finish the play. But let's go ahead and let's see what appears here. I'm going to keep it as GPT-3 for now. Press enter. Perseverance unleashed. All right, so let's see here. If you do this with your students, by the way, the stage directions, the thing, I always read those, but you can also have, maybe that's another speaking role that a student has. Scene set in a lively 5th grade classroom. Its walls are adorned, colorful posters. All right. Good morning, Miss. Here, Holly. We'll switch every other line. We'll do it that way. Can you see it? I think you can see it. Good morning, class. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend. Oh, the text might be really small. I'm sorry. Good morning, Mr. Smith. And Taylor raises a hand.
Sorry,
we start a new
sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. That's great. So, all right. Good morning, class. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend.
Good morning, Mr. Smith.
And then Taylor raises a hand. Mr. Smith, can we start a new project today? The one about famous historical figures?
Taylor, you never fail to remind us about your enthusiasm. We'll start this project soon. But before that, let's discuss today's topic of perseverance. Who can define what perseverance means?
Boom. And it just goes on and on. Now, here's the thing, right? You can make this as fun and engaging as you want. Maybe after you read through it once, you're like, oh, that was kind of bland. So maybe you then say, all right, how can we make this first scene a little more interesting?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, again, in AI, it's meant to be like a chat. So you're like, okay, rewrite this first scene, but include, I don't know, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson for some reason, whatever, right? All right. And then let's see. Oh, looks like Taylor. Oh my gosh, is that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson? What's he doing here? Whatever, right? So again, so many different ways that you can take this. But again, think, it's only writing the first scene. So now what you can do, you can either copy it, send it to your students and say, all right, y'all, now you can go ahead and finish the play. Maybe you have them work on different scenes. Maybe there's like, all right, maybe this was, is there some way you want to spice this up? And then maybe on Friday, everybody goes and presents it and they each share about some of the different changes that they've made to it. So yeah, it's a fun way to introduce them. Maybe they've never seen what a real screenplay looks like before outside of the generic ones that are often in those textbooks. But again, there are so many different ways that you could roll with this to turn it into a fun, creative writing prompt.
And you know what's fun too, Donnie, is with my students that I was working with, I asked it to do it. So they were 2nd grade. I asked them to do it at a 3rd or 4th grade level. So that
that's awesome.
Outside of the zone of proximal development. So they got a little, taste of going a little further in their reading. I loved it.
Yeah. And maybe there's like, 10 or 15 vocabulary words,
Mhm,
you're teaching first, second, third grade, then you want to expose them to. You can very easily add on to this prompt.
mhm,
Okay, here's our vocabulary words for this week. Include 5 of these words in the play.
mhm.
And then boom. And maybe now that they're being exposed to them and they're being used to speaking them, maybe they have to change them into different tenses to just get them more comfortable with using more advanced vocabulary. I love that.
Good, yeah. All
All right.
these things are coming into my head right now. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's part of the fun of it, right? All this AI stuff is so new that we are all trying to figure out, like, all right, what are some fun, engaging lessons that I could do with this? Just my last kind of idea from my book. AI, it's great at creating. It's great at like writing speeches, but it's also really, really good at letting you prep for debates. So, as a high school teacher, a lot of times if you're debating a side of an issue, you might not often think about, well, what would somebody with a different point of view think? So a simple prompt like this one, hey, imagine I'm a 10th grade student participating in a debate on, I don't know, whether solar panels are cost effective or
Mhm.
not. Give me 3 points, but also give me 3 counterpoints to help prepare. And again, in a debate that, it doesn't always have to write the speech for you, but just to help yourself get prepared. And then maybe, you do some practice presentations beforehand. And again, it doesn't have to be 3. You could have it lift up 20
Yeah,
counterpoints and
yeah,
points to help you prepare for it.
yeah. Or if you just do the first one with your ideas and then you run it through ChatGPT and say, what would some counterpoints to this be?
Yeah.
Really helps you
If this
prepare
is
for
my speech, what
it.
would the other person say to
Mhm,
contradict what I'm trying to say?
mhm,
Which is bonkers. It's literally the AI arguing with itself, but
mhm,
that's a whole other thing we can talk about. All right. So, like I mentioned, all these ideas they're in my book, which we're still launches the first week of August. If you scan that little QR code that's on your screen right now, it'll take you to kind of the pre-order page, some more info about it. You can also just Google 50 strategies for integrating AI into the classroom. You can go ahead and grab it there. But I did want to end with like a bit of a challenge for you all. Like, what do you do? Well, the important thing to realize is that with how new all of this AI stuff is, there are millions of teachers around the world trying to come up with and figure out how is AI going to impact the classroom. And I think there's a lot of great questions that teachers are asking, and like if questions about student integrity, questions about creativity, questions about what's the best role, should we be using this all the time or should we start to limit, should students always have access to it, right? Important questions to be asking. And honestly, if you're brand new to this stuff, I would just say try a prompt,
mhm,
craft a lesson. Heck,
mhm.
even you can do something super simple like, hey, create a sub plan for me, I'm going to be out tomorrow,
Yes.
right? And then again, it's not going to be perfect. And like I always like to joke, how many times do subs actually use our sub plans anyway? But it's there, right? And by the way, just to let you all know, all the images in this slideshow, and I mean all of them, were generated with AI. Even that
Huh,
one,
huh.
and that
I
one,
wondered.
and that one, and that
Huh.
one, and that one, and that one. Well, those ones are kind of obvious, right? But all of these images, it's a pun on one of my all-time favorite movie, Doctor Strangelove, but all of them, right? And so whether you figured that out or whether you're just realizing it now, as I told you, that's also a whole nother side of AI to think about, right? How many times, that whole digital citizenship piece and having students start to recognize that or to ask questions about different things that they are seeing. But thank you so much, Holly. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was because I love discussing AI with you. So, also a link to Donnie's book will be underneath this video, so you'll also have that as well. And thanks, Donnie. And I can't wait to see what you do this year with kids and AI. And I hope that people will look at it less as a place where kids are going to go cheat and rather as a
Yeah.
place where kids can edit and create original thoughts and make things bigger and better rather than looking at it as something negative. So thank you, everyone. That was day one, and we'll see you with our next video soon. Thanks.